Sakazuki Akainu, Miguel O'Hara, and the Devil. What do these three characters all have in common? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video, you guys. And I've been connecting One Piece with the Bible, with the Noah's Ark, with the everything. But now we're going to add in another layer to this. Because we've been doing the dimensions of the universe. We've been talking about the bubble theory, which essentially states, you guys have got a whole series. Check out the playlist. We're reading an entire book right now. We're currently in the last couple chapters. So go over there if you want to hear more about that. Beyond the Veil, Exploring the Bubble Theory and the Fourth Dimension. Go there for that. It's part of my ongoing God versus Science conversations and thoughts and hypotheses. Right. And so the bubbles, that our universe is one bubble in an S energy field of multiple different bubbles into different universes, i.e. the multiverse, i.e. the fourth dimension. And so I started to talk about the Spiderverse movies also, right? Because that's the first time I really started to pay attention to the concept of the multiverse, right? I wasn't really I'm like the type of person where I don't like to take in information that I don't feel like is going to be beneficial to my overall gameplay of life in some way or another. I don't just like to just know things for the sake of. If I know something, I've got a limited amount of understanding I can have anyway. So if I'm going to know something, I want it to be valuable. And so watching the Spider-Verse movie just gave me it made me think about a lot of concepts I hadn't previously thought about, like canon events, the multiverse, all these different things, free will. And then there came Akainu. Now, Akainu has to be and I'm going to come back to the Miguel O'Hara thing, because the thing that stuck out for me about Miguel O'Hara, this all goes back to the Devil, because I think these three characters all have something in common, and it's a lesson we can all learn about the losing team. Okay. So Miguel O'Hara came to mind because he was being a bit of a hypocrite. He was trying to stop Miles Morales from having access to traveling between the multiverses so that he doesn't stop the canon event of his father having to die, which is a canon event that all the Spider-Men had a police officer, family member pass away, or a loved one pass away, whatever, right? But then he also is ignoring the fact that he skipped his own canon event of being bitten by the radioactive spider, because he was never bitten by the radioactive spider. So he's there shooting himself up like he's shooting himself up with heroin the whole entire time with his fake Spidey powers. It kind of reminds me of Akainu. Like these people that are trying to be tyrants and control what other people are doing. So Sakazuki Akainu in One Piece, he's the lava. His power is lava, and he's very angry. To me, he's the epitome of, I don't know what the right word is for a female dog type of a male character, right? Bottles up a lot of his anger, doesn't say what he really thinks out loud, and then just explodes one day out of nowhere. I've said this to you guys before. As a woman, I hate to say it, but a lot of the guys who consider themselves to be good guys are just like that, where they'll try to do everything perfectly right. This is exactly what both Akainu, I feel like, did, and Miguel O'Hara. And the Devil. They try to do everything perfectly right, and then once they don't get everything perfectly right and they see somebody else, they get jealous of somebody else and their experience, and that they might have something that they want, or they might get to do whatever. And it always turns into pure anger. I've seen it happen with men. I've said this before. A lot of times people will be like, oh yeah, good guys this, good guys that. A lot of good guys out there have a lot of chips on their shoulder now because they feel like they've done everything good and they've lost out. So a lot of them actually lash out. You'd be surprised how many of these quote unquote seemingly good looking guys, not by good looking like in their looks, I mean like good seeming like in all areas, will switch in anger. Right. And again, it's because they feel like, how has this not worked out? I've done everything right. Similar to how the Devil's like, well, how is God blessing his kids? I've done everything. I've done everything right. I'm the highest of whatever. I'm his morning star. I'm this, that, and the other. Right. How are you going to keep forgiving these sinful creatures? These kids that are completely adulterous all the time. They're running off with other gods. They're not consistent. Most of them use your name as a slur these days. Like they're not reliable. They're selfish, they're driven by their flesh, they don't even talk to you, they don't even want a relationship with you, they don't even believe in you. You're forgiving them 100 times. But I am the one who doesn't get to have that forgiveness. For me, it's the same thing like with Miguel O'Hara, because it's like, well, if Spider-Man, so if Miles Morales, the problem is that if Miles Morales, now that he knows about all the canon events, if he discovers that the canon event is that his father, who's a police officer, is supposed to die, he can choose now with his free will. Again, free will was given to us as humans. and not as a life sentence, but just as an option, always as options. Hence why we can always just still choose Jesus, even if we've chosen the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We can still always choose the tree of life, right? So Miguel O'Hara is like, what if he's trying to stop essentially Spider-Man, Miles Morales, from choosing to save his father because that's considered a canon event? But the truth is, so is being bitten by a radioactive spider, which, do you see what I'm saying? But then Miguel O'Hara wants to ignore that part, just like how the devil had free will as well. But the devil chose to use his free will as he did. He knew God potentially, what some could argue that other than obviously Jesus, the Holy Spirit, which is also God himself, some could argue he had the closest of types of access to God. So him more than anybody should have known not to get on the wrong side of God. So him now being a hater to all of God's kids and to all of humanity is actually a huge lack of self-awareness, you know what I'm saying? And which brings me to Akainu again, because Akainu works for the world government in One Piece. And you guys know that I think that the world government in One Piece is strangely similar to the world and we live in today, you know what I'm saying? But we're just talking about One Piece, of course, right? And so, again, it looks to me like he's the guy who thinks, I'm an admiral, I'm the head, he's the head admiral, whatever it's called. I can't remember his official title. It's like the admiral of the army, of the navies, the marines in One Piece of the world government. And he's the number one. He wants to view himself as like the most powerful in the government. But realistically, he's just the most obedient little lap dog, puppy dog to people that don't even give a damn about his life. And he kind of knows that, but then he's also stuck between a rock and the hard place of, I want to feel powerful and I have all this built up anger because I'm doing the right thing. I'm a Marine and we stand for justice, right? But at the very same time, he's also the same guy who blindly answers to a world government that is clearly highly corrupt. And the funny thing in the show is that so many other people in the show are point out the corruption, which is kind of similar to the Spiderverse movies, how people start to notice that, like, towards the end, a lot of people end up siding with Miles Morales as opposed to Miguel O'Hara, because they're like, oh my gosh, Miguel O'Hara might not be trustworthy. Maybe Miles is onto something, you know what I'm saying? And so they turn, similar to how, even us, however we were up in the kingdom of darkness, we turn to Christ and we turn away from the devil. But now we get to participate with the Lord, and then the person against you doesn't like it. Similar to Akainu, who's watching all these pirates thriving, going against the government, living freely. He's living as the most obedient little slave, little lapdog to the world government. And he's thinking he's done everything right, and he's thinking that should work out for him, that he should be wherever. And I truly am so fascinated to see how that's going to play itself out in actual One Piece, in terms of that's why I wanted to just make this video quickly, to just throw my ideas out there, because I want to hear if anybody else has thoughts about this. Please share. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out for Akainu. Is in the big battle, because of course there's going to be a big battle eventually, right? There always is one. I remember watching One Piece, it was like Naruto, I was like, obviously there's going to be a big battle, and then there was the fourth great ninja war, obviously there's going to be some big battle eventually, right? So I'm curious as to whether Akainu is just going to release all of his anger on behalf of the government and remain being the little obedient little female dog that he is to the world government, who's essentially run by demons. Oh, so again, may sound strangely similar to a planet I may have lived on once upon a time. I'm curious to see with the Spiderverse movies what's going to happen, because I'm hoping Miles Morales is going to stop his father from dying and prove that that doesn't have to be a canon event, because I believe Miguel O'Hara is like the devil, where he makes us think that life has to go in a certain way and certain things can only be this option, because that's all he can do. That's the reason why the devil does that is because everything he convinces us of, similar to the world government, similar to whatever, they need us to believe in them to a certain degree, so that we get in line and we stay in line. If the option is out there, in One Piece, if freedom is on offer in the Spider-Verse, if these canon events don't have to happen, that creates freedom for the people with the powers and for the world at large, but is a problem for those who are trying to maintain power, who are not really in power themselves, similar to Akainu, who's not really in power because he's still just a lapdog. Yes, he's one of the most powerful, great, he's got all the skills, but he's obedient little lapdog to the Gorosei, the five elders, and then Emu, right? Similar to Miguel O'Hara, yes, he's only got power because he's the one who's convinced everybody that he's the one who should be controlling them, but he doesn't even have any power. Similar to the scene that was in Wicked, I mentioned this in the movie, how Elphaba realizes that the Wizard of Oz never even had any power. He needed her, and he was hoping to basically use her power for his gain. But he's got all of this fame and all this power based on the fact that people think he's this great wizard. He doesn't even have any power. Similar to Miguel O'Hara, he's shooting up his powers. So Spider-Man, who at least again was canonically bitten by a radioactive spider, actually has powers, which then goes back to the devil again, and just the nature of Satan, which is he's just a hater. Like he's trying to use the power that God gave us, hence the rituals, the killings, the use of blood, the killing of and violation of children. He's trying to take the power out of the original canonical events of existence, us becoming alive. And as it says in Genesis in chapter 2, and God breathed life into the nostrils of, Adam, of man or whatever, that he's trying to do the same thing by taking that from us, and he's sitting there like a little hater, even though, again, he was the one who had that opportunity, and he's just a hater on the sidelines looking at us thinking that we have something that he deserves to have, right? When in reality, he already had the thing that for Satan, in Satan's world, he already had that. He gave it up. He used his free will, right? And again, he then teaches others to do the same thing he's doing, and hence we have like Akainu and Miguel O'Hara, where it's like the people that are just jealously looking at others who have what they want, right? And it's not like they can't have what they want. It's not like Akainu can't find a reality where his life has meaning. And he could just be a pirate himself. He could come against the government and do like what Luffy's dad did, Dragon, and decide instead to follow a path of being a revolutionary or being a pirate and coming up against the people and use his powers for good. But he's too busy being a little sad little female dog, right? Same with Miguel O'Hara. He could have switched his life around, done a little bit of self-reflection. Maybe you're not Spider-Man. Listen, winning is for everybody. Your win might look different to others. But instead, no. Again, he's being a little female dog. I hate to say it like that, but he is. And shooting himself up with the fake powers and trying to take charge of everybody and stop people who've actually organically been there, again, like a classic hater, rather than focusing on his own life, similar to the devil. You had your chance, my friend. You failed. You made a mistake. I probably understood God more than any of us ever will, who are alive today. And what is your dedication now? To destroy those of us who are speaking the messages of freedom, similar to Miles Morales, similar to Luffy, similar to Jesus Christ, who came to set the captives free, and who said, listen, who the Son sets free is free indeed. Romans 10:9, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart he was raised from the dead, then you shall be saved. This is a free gift for everyone. The only person that would be upset about that is a jealous individual who doesn't want that for everyone, who wants to maintain power and control, or who is so busy looking at what everybody else is getting that they don't spend the time on what they can do for themselves. And that is something that Kainu, Miguel O'Hara, and the devil all have in common. If life's a game is played to win, God bless you all, God loves you, I love you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm curious to hear what people have to say about this, and I'll see you in my next one.